Hey, how's it going, everybody? Shaun here from Zoobox, and for today's daily movie review, we're going to be talking about more sword and sorcery from the 80s. That's right, more Conan-related business. We're talking about 1985's Red Sonja. Film is directed by Richard Fleischer, who also directed Conan the Destroyer, based on characters by Robert E. Howard, written by Clive Exton and somebody else. I don't know who else. It's starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bridget Nielsen, Sandahl Bergman, Paul L. Smith, Ernie Reyes Jr., Ronald Lacey, Pat Roach, Terry Richards, Janet Agron, Donna Osterbor, and others. The plot synopsis is: the fearless warrior Red Sonja sets out to avenge her family's murder and rid her kingdom from the tyrannical rule of evil Queen Gedrin. So if you probably recognize some of those names, right? Sandahl Bergman, Pat Roach, Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is a Red Sonja movie, but it's really kind of a side Conan tale. As the legend goes, Arnold Schwarzenegger was supposed to cameo as Conan. And because of some sort of something to do with Marvel, I think somebody, this is one of these rights things that they couldn't actually put Conan in the movie. So they renamed the character Calidor and imply that it's Conan. The headcanon is that Calidor is one of Conan's traveling names. Like Conan just wouldn't, because of who he was, because of the legend of Conan, sometimes he wanted to travel unmolested. He wanted people bothering him because fucking Conan's blowing through town. He didn't want that. He said, nah, I'm Calidor, okay? I know I look like the guy. I get that a lot, but I'm just Calidor. So he comes back to do that. This is what gets him out of the contract to do another Conan movie, actually. They cashed in their chips on this. I guess they were, and this comes out a year after Conan the Destroyer, so they were just like, let's go, let's pump him out. This is what always happens. These greedy producers, man. So they hire Fleischer. It must have been pretty soon right after they shot The Destroyer, and they're into production on Red Sonja. They cast Bridget Nielsen. You know who Bridget Nielsen is. Come on, Rocky 4, Flavor of Love. Is that what it's called? Or not Flavor of Love. Whatever preceded Flavor of Love. Beverly Hills Cop 2. She was in a bunch of stuff. Cobra. That's right. Domino. 976 Evil 2. Oh, I don't think I've ever seen that. Galaxis, which I actually watched not too long ago for some godforsaken reason. Never did a video about it. Maybe I will. But anyways, you know who Bridget Nielsen is. Yeah, she gets cast. She was a model at the time. She just kind of looked the part. They were looking for like this big Amazonian Valkyrie looking chick, and Bridget Nielsen kind of fit the bill. Acting talent not required. That's not what they were going for. Sandahl Bergman, she was the Valkyrie from The Barbarian. She plays the baddie here, Queen Gedrin. She was fucking awful in this movie. As bad as I thought she was in Conan the Barbarian, she's never distractingly bad. In this movie, she's fucking awful. And I felt bad for her. That's how bad it was. And you can't really tell it's her for a lot of it. Because when I watched Red Sonja, this was the first time I'd have ever actually watched Red Sonja. I've seen parts of it. I've probably seen it on cable growing up, but I have never actually sat down and watched Red Sonja. I have like a sense memory of the cover from going to like my local video rental place and always being curious. And always like, I think going to my dad, be like, is that Conan? Is that Red Sonja? He's like, yeah, it's not good though. So he would never rent it. We would never rent it. But anyways, now that I'm a man, I can do whatever I want. I can eat cake for breakfast. I can fucking watch Red Sonja whenever I want. So take that, Ghost Dad. Take that. Yeah. So this is the first time I ever watched it. And it's bad. It's not good. It feels like a lot was done in post. They really leaned the movie out kind of down to its most bare essentials. And they cut any type of character developments. Most of that stuff just gets totally cut out of the movie. I think a lot of that is to use the limited footage they have of Schwarzenegger in a more profound way. Like he's a bigger part of the story. And even that was funny because he was supposed to come on for a cameo, like I said. Ends up being there for 4 weeks. And he realizes as they're shooting that they are actually making him a co-lead of the movie. They keep writing scenes. They keep shooting him constantly, even when like from all like a lot of coverage, I guess, which clued him into like, oh, they're actually getting me to be a co-lead of this movie. I guess there was a little bit of contention there. Also, he was having an affair with Bridget Nielsen, which is crazy because she ends up having an affair like a year later. What was that, when she did Cobra? Is that a year after this? I mean, no judgment. I'm not saying she's a hoe or nothing, but she got involved with some leading men. So when did Cobra come out? Cobra is a year. Comes out a year or two after this. Yeah, 1985, 1986. Because she was in a relationship with Sylvester Stallone, another on-set relationship. If you go back to my Cobra review, I pointed out that Sly gets called out by the DP of Cobra, saying like, yo, maybe if you stop fucking that chick in her trailer, maybe we get our work done on time. So I wonder if anything like that happened here. It seems like it had some production troubles. It was a little strained. Obviously, the script wasn't as good. It is a very basic kind of revenge fantasy film story. It has all of the archetypes of the other ones, just not done as well. You know, it's got a very similar thing to like Conan the Barbarian. It's got like your witch doctor and it's got your sidekicks. In this one, it's like a little kid who's like a king and is like his guardian. And then there's obviously Calidor. There's Schwarzenegger. He plays kind of another one of her like kind of sidekicks, but not really. It's kind of a love interest. It's very strained. They do not have much on-screen chemistry. I will say that. There's really not a ton to say about Red Sonja. I'm already kind of out of stuff. It's not good. You know, I will say this. I really like some of the production design. Some of the sets look really fucking cool. I liked the costuming. Like as much as I don't like what's her name, Sandal Bergman's acting as Queen Gedrin, she looks awesome. She's a very striking figure. In the same way, like if she just didn't open her mouth, you know, maybe it'd be better. We get some sort of little bit of light Tulsa Doom vibes. Maybe a little bit too reminiscent of the Evil Queen from The Destroyer, though. You know, it just feels like a remix of those other two movies. Like just like this hodgepodge, like taking the things that like were essential to those stories and not really understanding why they worked well, and then kind of shitting out a basic, very formulaic kind of revenge fantasy film story. I thought it was, you know, the first 20 minutes, I'll say, I was kind of intrigued. I was like, oh, this is kind of different. It's kind of weird because it kind of posits Red Sonja almost as like this Joan of Arc-like figure. She's getting these visions and these messages. Something from beyond is guiding her hand and some of her choices. And I was like, oh, this is kind of an interesting thing. Maybe this will be like, not a great movie, but maybe it'll actually have something deeper to really dive into if you're paying attention. Well, that quickly dissipates, and then it really doesn't have much to say. Outside of that, it doesn't even use that conceit very well, that she's kind of, I don't know, touched by the gods or something. It doesn't even, like, you know, they're invested in Red Sonja getting her revenge and stopping this evil. It doesn't really even do much with that, honestly. And it's, honestly, I'm struggling to remember, like, some of the basic shit that happened. And I paid attention, too. I didn't, no phone, no laptop. I sat there and I watched Red Sonja. You know, I did it. And I'm just not, I don't know. Not much is coming to mind. Other than what I just said. I remember it's being very glacially paced. Even at like a little under 90 minutes. It felt very long. And a lot of that I think has to do with because there's just zero investment in the characters and they don't endear themselves to you. And you just feel the movie's kind of just plodding along, trying to get through the plot. It's just kind of doing what it has to do. Fleischer, this is a very uninspired direction by Richard Fleischer. I think this is close to one of his last movies. Yeah, second to last. He did this other movie called $1 Million Mystery after this. So he had just become an old man director and just wasn't, maybe just didn't have the chops like he used to, you know? It's one of those things that what Quentin Tarantino talks about when he talks about how he wants to go out on 10 movies. He doesn't want to be an old man director. Because if you are, you could be somebody like Richard Fleischer. You could have directed 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, The Vikings, Soylent Green, The Jazz Singer, Tora. Jesus. I mean, Dr. Dolittle, Fantastic Voyage, Barabbas. I mean, this guy's got some heavy hitters in his filmography. And then he ends his career directing fucking Red Sonja. That's kind of sad. You know, that kind of bums me out. But, you know, everybody needs a job, I guess. I don't know, what is it, like pity? What was it? Like, what gets him this job? How does he get on Conan the Destroyer? Right before he did Amityville 3D is what he did before that. So he's making okay movies up until about 1980. I mean, I know The Jazz Singer more by reputation. I've barely seen it, so I shouldn't say. Yeah, I don't know how he ends up on this movie or involved in this way. Imagine being at the end of your career and like the best you can get is like a script for Amityville 3D and then Conan the Destroyer and then Red Sonja. I guess Dino De Laurentiis doing this man a solid, maybe because he respected his filmography. Like, how could you not, right? It is almost like a respect your elders move. It's like, I gotta respect this guy, you know? He fucking directed 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and Tora. What am I supposed to do? Not give him a job? Unbelievable. But yeah, I would avoid Red Sonja unless you're very curious. Unless you're like me. You're the type of person like, oh, I'm going to watch Conan the Barbarian. Now I'm going to watch everything Conan related from that time period. And tangentially related. Might even throw another fantasy film in there just for kicks. Just for kicks, baby. Yeah. Well, that's all I got to say about Red Sonja. I'm not saying anymore. I'm done with it. I'm happy to put it behind me. And then 10 years from now, I'm going to do the same thing is going to happen to me. I'm going to be like, oh, maybe I'll watch Red Sonja. That will happen. I swear to God, it's going to happen. There's other movies like that. Ghosts of Mars does that to me. Conan the Destroyer kind of does that to me. One of the movies we're going to be talking about does that to me. I'm always tricking myself, you know? It's just limited memory. Maybe I got something wrong on the old gray matter. Some damage. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to know more about Zoobox, you want to keep up to date with everything Zoobox Nation, there's a bunch of links in the description for Facebook, for Instagram, for my personal Twitter. Dan's Twitter's on there now as well. He's got a personal Twitter at Deekster2. Go check him out and give him a follow. If you'd like to make a recommendation for one of these daily videos or for something for Zoobox Goes to the Movies, let me know. I will say this, though. October, I'm doing all horror movies. And I'm starting to ramp up and trying to figure that out. I'm going to try to release a list, at least a partial list. So if you want to play along with the October stuff, it's a very important month to me. I got married on Halloween. I like the spooky season, you know? So I'll probably be doing some horror movies during October. I'm going to try to do 31 of them. And yeah, that'll be fun. All right, everybody. You have a great one. Goodbye.